Welcome to the talk show Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. The goal of this show is to provide a learning experience to people of all ages, with guests from various fields in academics, a wide range of industries, and insight into the many forms of art, athletics, and entertainment. We hope you enjoy the show. Today's guest is Jacqueline Murphy, an award-winning actress, producer, and writer whose work has been on the FYC Emmy nomination ballot twice, this past year Pepito's America and The Admired, now transformed into the TV series Sorceress of Hollywood. She's here to share insights into her newest film, Yellowbird, inspired by her experiences as a nurse during the rise of the opioid epidemic.
Actress, writer, and more, Jacqueline Murphy, welcome back to Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's always a delight to be here, and I'm so excited to talk with you again. Our world moves so quickly. You and I are always doing so many things, and I'm just so happy to be here and talk about what's going on in LA and New York and with new projects and also with you.
Absolutely. And many people don't do so much in the span of time since your last interview, but you do so much. So here we are and ready to go. It's only been about a year and a half or so, but it looks like you've done so many things recently. So let's first start with how did the writer's strike impact your life?
Well, the writer's strike and Screen Actors Guild really slowed things down in Hollywood, and things are starting to pick up here. I actually picketed in front of Paramount Studios as a SAG-AFTRA actor, and it was very organized. My husband and I met up with Carlos from Pepito's America, and they had these signs, and we were given T-shirts, and they fed us, and they took very good care of us. So I'm proud to be a part of that union. I've been a SAG member since 1982. So I'm so glad that's resolved, because at the end of the day, I think everybody wants to work together and create things. And, we all have a passion in this business. So it did slow things down, but we're getting back to work, which is great. I used that quiet time to work on my script, a new script that I wanted to talk with you about. It's called Yellowbird, also known as Opioid Days, inspired by when I was a registered nurse in New York back in the 90s when opioids started to hit the market. And the genesis of that was someone very close to me, a young adult, had got addicted to opioids, like 1, 2, 3, boom. And I started seeing articles about young football players going in for shoulder surgery and getting hooked on opioids. And I thought, oh my God, I remember as a nurse, people who were addicted would actually approach me hoping I would be able to get medication from the hospital. And I said, I can't do that. It's triplicate that it goes to the state, the pharmacy, the hospital, and my RN license. I worked very hard for that. And so I just saw how pervasive it was. And this story in particular is a little different because it's inspired by my personal experiences. So it's a narrative, it's imaginative. I have embellished it a little bit, but the gist of it, Mark, is it's about a recovering substance abuse nurse and a pharmaceutical heiress join forces to take down their brilliant but greedy dads, a pharma king and a brilliant Nobel winning biochemist who has a gambling addiction, and he needs to keep upping the level of fentanyl or opioid in the drugs he makes, and he does all these things to bypass the FDA. But I know you and I are so passionate about helping young adults and helping people in general. And if I could save a life or shed some light on this subject, or if someone, hopefully the film will get made. If I have to make it myself, I'm going to be shooting some short proof of concept in the fall. But if it makes someone feel, oh my God, like I'm not judged. I went through this too. Maybe I should get help. Or a parent, oh my God, my kid has this problem, and just somehow let them know they're not alone. So that was the emphasis of that. And I believe you got involved in a book
Right.
related to the opioid crisis because you're so passionate about helping others
Right.
and young people in particular as a teacher.
Right. Well, interesting. So, A Journey to Recovery, Speak Sobriety is a story of Stephen Hill, the true story. And he was a former student of mine, and I was able to co-author his book. And right now, he's tearing it up in schools, speaking about it so much. But what's so interesting to me is that you mentioned a year, and you said when I was a nurse back in the '90s. So it's interesting when I hear hits in the radio from the '70s. I'm like, oh, that song's 30 years old. No, that song's 50 years old. So when you talk about the '90s, you're talking 30 years ago. This is not a new problem. And
Right.
and you're right in that I do have a passion for helping people. And there's actually on Amazon Prime, Surviving the Hill. I was the associate producer of a documentary about it. But I'm so interested.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
so interested that you saw it as a nurse. It's just a totally different perspective because, like you say, you had a friend and bam, like that. So now it's not just people think about, I'll give you the negative connotation where the junkies in the street. No, these are people who go in and have back pain, and doctors who they trust are overprescribing, and to say billions are at stake is an understatement. So the fact that you took it and you're turning it into, even though it's sort of fictionalized, it's like a true account of things you went through. So the question I have for you is that it's so many different tentacles here because you write it and you're an actress and you're a nurse that has seen it. So how does your acting experience become part of your writing strategy?
Great question. I like to write about things, Mark, that are part of my soul and my heart. And I always loved helping people. And I find things that I can connect to deeply, even as an actress. And for me, this is my Rocky story.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like, Sylvester Stallone wrote Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
And he insisted he was going to direct it and star in it. If I had my druthers, I would love that. Because I think the legacy I want to leave behind for people that know me or my nephews or nieces or my loved ones is, wow, if I could make a tiny difference, that would be huge. So I want to share with people like the struggles I had coming up. So I used a little bit of what it was like growing up in my family in the film, the struggles we had. I have never been addicted to anything because I saw at a very early age what addiction could do to people around me. So I, decided that, okay, you're not going down that road. Educate yourself, become a professional, But yeah, so I say it's my Rocky story because it has so much of me in it. And I think some people are great at just writing things off the top of their head, like George Martin with Game of Thrones, But for me, maybe it is my acting background that I was trained to find, by the amazing Stella Adler, that find things inside of you and see where you can go with that and connect to it deeply. So this subject means so much more to me. And, back in 2016, when I was making The Admired, it was based on, on myself, a frustrated actress wanting to be a glamorous Hollywood movie star. I just did it because I wanted to play like a Veronica Lake type of a role and have some fun. And I had no idea we were going to win awards, no idea that there was somehow I would be able to shape it to be submitted and vetted to be on the For Your Consideration Emmy nomination ballot. But that was like a sidebar for me. My mom was an artist. She could play anything she heard. She would go over to the piano and start playing it. So I come from a very creative, free family. And they always said you have to work hard and get your education and have a profession, but if you want to act, then set yourself up for it. So I'm eternally grateful to my grandparents and my mom. Um, and so with this, I during COVID, I started writing Yellowbird, the opioid script,
Right.
because it was so close to me. And I just feel like that is part of who I am, helping others and wanting to make a difference and, maybe saving a life. But if I can get that movie up, and it won't be a doc, but to get it up and have someone in the audience be moved by it and think, just provoke a little thought or possible change or helping hand to somebody, that would mean everything to me.
And I know there's so much you always work on, so I'm so excited for this project, and I know you're going to make it happen. Just like Stallone was told, we'll give you 250,000 for your script, but we don't want you. So I know, so he made it so it was him. So I know that dream's going to happen because I know who you are. But you also mentioned The Admired, but it started as The Admired, and then you transformed into, I think, the Sorceress of Hollywood. So could you walk us through that transformation?
Yes. So I think a lot of actors are making their own content here in LA today, and the TV Academy has opened up this category, short form comedy and drama, which really is fantastic because we can make something and be our independent producer on it and have an opportunity to have it seen and shown, and that is huge. So with The Admired, like I said, the Academy acknowledged short form drama comedy back, I think, in 2017 or 16. And I was on the ballot the second year. And I didn't even know that that was a possibility. And then when it came along with Carlos from Pepito's America, he had seen my work and he said, "Will you help me? Will you come on as a producer?" And, I did, and we were vetted, and we got on the ballot as well. And we had a pretty good run. We were up against the big boys. I mean, Vanity Fair, they do not Vanity Fair, Variety.
Variety.
They said I was number 3 to be nominated, and the show was number 5, and Carlos was number 7. And we had a beautiful little article in the Emmy magazine that the Television Academy puts out. And it was just driven by passion and excitement. And to get that far was a huge gift. So, Sorceress of Hollywood, I decided, again, what's the message? What's my voice? What do I want to put out there for? I always think in terms of my nieces and my nephews,
Right.
and what do I want them to believe? Now, in back of me, it says, how far would you go, to get your dream? But at the end of the day, in The Admired, I make a Faustian deal with the devil so
Mm.
that I could be a big movie star. But I thought, well, what if I have a genetic talent for magic that I don't have to rely on the devil, but I can rely on myself? We're talking about self-empowerment. And what is inside me? What are the hidden talents we all have that we have no idea? I had no idea I could write until COVID and we were shut down. And I really loved it. And then I created The Admired. It all just gelled together. So the question is, how can you empower yourself? What are your talents inside you? And, my husband was even kidding me the other day because I'm just launching. During the Screen Actors Guild and the writers' strike, I started interviewing people around Hollywood. And then when the strike was over, the award seasons kicked back, and I started interviewing people on the red carpet, which is something I've done since 2006. We had a Screen Actors Guild strike back around that time. And, I was hosting, TV shows like yourself, but interviewing actors, mainly filmmakers. So I'm going to launch a new show called Entertainment Today, with Jacqueline Murphy and Steve Taylor, who's had that great title that he owns for over 30 years. And I might add health, travel, fitness, creativity, different filmmakers, but that's my idea with it. But we have to stay focused in this business. Like you said, I have the Sorceress of Hollywood, where I have a TV packager taking it around to see, can we get that TV series made? Yellowbird, the opioid story. I plan to do a proof of concept in the fall. And this entertainment show, Entertainment Today, I'm going to go to Europe for my 30th anniversary. I'm going to Budapest and Prague, Vienna, Salzburg, Sound of Music country, and
Mhm.
Amsterdam for tulip season. So my idea there, I always loved Samantha Brown on the Travel Channel back in the day. I don't know if you remember her, but again, during the strikes, back in 2010 or whenever it was, I would do these little travel videos. So I have a lot of material to inspire people to go out there and adventure. And I think Buddha said we all should take an amazing trip for the heart and the soul at least once a year to inspire us and get out of what we normally do to see the world in a different way. So those are the kind of things I'm working on right now.
It's great. You're always so busy. I have to circle back just for a second because I'm an educator at heart. And I mean, I had Stan Zimmerman on my show. He was a writer for the Gilmore Girls, the Golden Girls. I had,
Stan, I
yeah,
know Stan.
yeah, great guy.
He actually, yeah, he coached me when I first came to LA as an actress, and he
Yeah.
had my friend Cheryl Lee Ralph, who has now won a Emmy for Abbott Elementary,
Mm,
terrific actress. He was working on a play, workshopping a play with her
yes.
a couple years back in New York City. Yeah, so it's a
Yeah,
small
so
world.
talented. And I saw things on his social media about the writer's strike and being, on the picket line. And that's so special to me because I thought only teachers and Teamsters would go on strike. And, I couldn't believe the family of talent and the people and how much they backed the union and how much the SAG and all the other unions and whatnot. But I that really touched my heart because you see these people and you're larger than life. The average person is not in front of the camera. You talk about 15 minutes of fame. Some of you guys have that 15 minutes of fame each day. So you see that, and it really was great. And you really got to see the human side, the authentic side of the actors, the actresses, and the writers. I just also want to circle back for a second because I can't remember anyone who I've interviewed, and I've interviewed professional athletes, actors, writers who said, "Oh, by the way, then I was a nurse." When back when I was an RN, I've never heard anyone say that before. So, could you give me a snapshot of A, what you thought about the nursing profession, and B, what you took from that above and beyond the story you're writing now that informs, because I know it informs you as an actress and a writer and a human being.
Yeah. Okay. So I was a bit of a rebellious kid. And I was 15 and I cut out of school, and my guidance counselor had me come into the office and he showed me my IQ. And he said, "You're a very smart girl. What's going on at home?" And I'm just sharing something very personal here. And I adore you. And I'm happy because maybe there's someone out there who's listening. So, 5 kids, 3-bedroom house, stepfather works for the state, not having a lot of money coming in. I'm 15. I said, I don't have any money, and I, would love to get a job, and school is not doing it for me. He said, "What if I could get you a job and double you up so you get out of school a year ahead? And what would you like? How would that be?" I said, "Great." So he gets me a job at Islip Marine Center. I'm selling worms and bait, and oh my God, who wants to touch this stuff? And fishing equipment. And the guys would come in and see this girl behind the counter. It's like, who is this girl? And the local paper wrote something. There's a girl, Jacqueline Murphy, working at Islip Marine Center. I just found this because I'm doing another script based on my life growing up on Long Island called Racing to the Hamptons. And I'm using it on my poster, this little boat with the article for ad for Islip Marine Center that says, "Jacqueline Murphy is such a nice girl and so beautiful. I hope she stays here for a long time." Well, Mr. McEwen, the dean from Islip, he got me that job. It was like $2 an hour, $1.85 back in the day. And from there, my boss recommended me for a Lions Scholarship. It was like $500. I went to Suffolk Community for 2 years, got my RN at 19. Worked with my first job. My dad worked for the state. I worked with developmentally at Suffolk Developmental Hospital, Melville, with the children who had disabilities, which was heartbreaking. But the point is, at 17, I was going into hospitals
Mm-hmm.
and seeing the effect of someone who was an alcoholic, of a girl who took estrogen and had a stroke and was incapacitated, of people who were high and had overdoses, and I never knew what I was going to walk into. And when I think to myself now, like I just there was like a curtain that kind of came down, and I would walk in and triage, like, what is my job? How am I going to save this person? And to have that kind of seriousness at that age, it kind of stays with you, but it's also a discipline, like when you're a nurse. So knowing I had this dream of being an actor, because I would reenact things from the time I was 3, doing Mae West, accents, and telling my other 4 siblings, let's do the Sound of Music. You're going to start down at the end of the basement stairs, and when you get to the top, till you find your dream.
Yeah.
I always knew I wanted to act, so I was so determined. And this is why I say to everybody, believe in your dreams. I am getting out of islip. I am going to work at a local hospital, get my credit, get into New York. I was fortunate, New York Hospital, Cornell Medical. It was a teaching hospital. I got a job there. I was in charge of a floor after 3 months on the 4 to 12 shift. Then a girlfriend, I would go to school from 9 to 1 for acting, work at the hospital 4 to 12. A friend said to me, you're killing yourself in charge of the floor and trying to be an actress. Why don't you do private duty like me? So I segued into that. And when I graduated the American Academy Dramatic Arts, Mark, they saw all my children saw in my resume that I was a registered nurse. So they gave me my first job as in a recurring role as Nurse Thomas. And it was heady because the soaps were so glamorous back in the, late 80s, early 90s. And I had scenes opposite Susan Lucci and Walt Wiley and Peter Bregman and, all the stars that have won Emmys and are fabulous actors. And they also asked me to medically consult. So that kicked me off for 10 years of doing every soap opera in New York, working, in smaller parts on Hannah and Her Sisters with Woody Allen. I was cast as a nurse. Nora Ephron in Mixed Nuts, she also cast me as a nurse. And then the wonderful Ron Howard, he cast me as a nurse. I had scenes with Michael Keaton and Marissa Tomei. So I kept building. I kept thinking, because no one's going to help you. You might get a hand here and there, but always figure out, what can you offer, what can you bring, that is of value, like your heart, you're helping all these students and you're a wonderful teacher, and I love your great success behind you. But if someone were to say, like, what do I do, it just look with, how am I going to get from A to B? And my husband was kidding me the other day, when this Entertainment Today show kind of took a life of its own. And he said, your genius is making something out of nothing. And so that's what I would like to offer everybody out there today. It's, what is your genius?
Right.
What is makes you feel like you're on fire? What do you have within you that you can get to the next step? It's definitely not going to happen overnight, and it may never happen, but if you don't go for it and reach for the gold ring or the star, go as high as you can, well, how far are you willing to go? Which is, again, the log line of this. So it's not, how far are you going to go to get what you want? For me, it's within the realm of, like, I would never hurt anybody or do something unethical. For me, it's like, well, pick up your game, Jacqueline. Like, what are you going to do to be of value or service or have something to offer or make a difference? So, because otherwise it's not worth it for me.
so true. And I have to tell you, I have to think about how to market this episode, because I may have to call it a master class. Jacqueline Murphy just gave us a master class in humanity, in acting, in passion. So, Jacqueline Murphy, thank you for returning to the show and sharing your many new and exciting projects, Yellowbird, and all the things that you're doing, and the story with Long Island and the Hamptons, and just incredible. You know, I heard a rumor that you did sleep for an hour once in November, but that's another story. So. To the viewers, don't forget to watch us on E360 TV, available on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. EST on Roku, Apple Fire, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. Remember to follow us on social media. Life Stories with Marc Hoberman is on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and of course, YouTube channel. So remember to subscribe. Jacqueline Murphy, thank you so much for being here again today. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. And if they want to learn more about my work, I have my website, jacquelinemurphy.net. 𝓫𝓽𝓸𝓻𝓂, and I'm also on YouTube. I post all my travel videos and my award shows and my films at Jacqueline Murphy Actress. So thank you so much, and great to meet
everybody.
You all.
Check that out. More magic at those sites and that social media there. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Mark. Always a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. To contact Marc, email him at info@lifestorieswithmarchoberman.com or visit him on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.